This story may haunt your dreams and make you never look at large dolls the same ever again. For all you people out there already with a phobia of dolls, and it's called pediophobia, this one is for you. Or not. If a grown man becomes obsessed with dolls, it's something that needs to be addressed. No questions asked. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, I'm a horror artist and I like to draw what I talk about in the videos. Now, nothing in this video is meant to be insensitive to the victims or the victim's family, but if you are a sensitive person, I recommend turning off right now because you're probably not going to be happy with the content that I put out. And this is the first video after the session I did for Inktober 2023, so to any of the new followers that I have after Inktober, welcome, and hopefully you stick around and you enjoy this content because it can get a little bit gruesome over here. Maybe. That can be subjective. But anyway, with that being said, let's get on with the video. Now, this man is Anatoly Moskvin, and he loves history and was very smart and considered a genius. He spoke 13 languages, travelled and taught at colleges, and was a journalist in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia. He also was an expert on cemeteries. He was born on the 1st of September 1966 in the city of Gorky, Soviet Russia, which is now Nizhny Novgorod. As a young schoolboy, he started going to cemeteries with friends. He witnessed one day an 11-year-old girl's funeral where he was apparently forced to kiss the girl in her open casket, so he did. This is where his morbid fascination for the dead started. He graduated from Moscow State University and went on to teach Celtic history and folklore. He was also interested in cemeteries, death rituals, burial rituals, and the occult. Throughout his childhood and up into adulthood, Moskvin was someone who didn't hang out with people and lived a secluded life. Living with his parents for most of his life, he didn't drink, do drugs, smoke, and he was even a virgin. In 2005, Oleg Ryabov, also an academic and publisher, got Moskvin to make a list of the dead in more than 700 cemeteries across Nizhny Novgorod. Over the next 2 years, he was so dedicated that he did the job on foot, walking up to 30 kilometers per day, spending nights in cemeteries or nearby farms in haystacks, and drinking from puddles. The police would question him, but he was never charged with anything as he was just doing his job. Then between 2006 and 2010, he became a freelance writer for the newspaper Nizhny Novgorod Worker, where he would write an article a month for them. He released documentary series about his cemetery walks called The Great Walks Around Cemeteries and What the Dead Said. This is when Moskvin took his dark fascinations with the dead to a whole new level of fucked up. In 2009, locals started noticing graves of their loved ones dug up. For nearly 2 years, police ramped up their investigations, but more and more graves kept being disturbed and dug up. What brought Moskvin undone was his desecration of Muslim graves after a terrorist attack at Domodedovo Airport in Moscow in 2011. Moskvin was caught painting over pictures of dead Muslims at a cemetery. 8 police went to his apartment after he was arrested at the cemetery to gather more evidence, and what they found was something you would only see in a B-grade horror movie. The then 45-year-old had 29 large lifelike dolls placed around his apartment. The dolls resembled life-size antique dolls wearing various clothing and makeup on their faces over the top of fabric that was very similar to paper mache. Their hands were also wrapped in fabrics. The problem was they were not dolls, they were mummified real human girls ranging from ages 3 to 25, and one corpse he had even had for nearly 9 years. Moskvin had done all the mummifying himself and placed music boxes in each of their chests so they played music. He had also removed the photo plaques off of the graves for each girl with maps of cemeteries found and doll-making manuals throughout the apartment. The clothes worn by each girl was later found to be the clothes that they were buried in. One mummified girl even had a piece of her gravestone placed inside of her with her name on it, and another still had the hospital tag attached to her with her own dried human heart inside. Moskvin was also stuffing the girls with rags after giving them a salt and baking soda preservation, and then sewing buttons or toy eyes to the dead girls' eye sockets so they could, quote unquote, watch cartoons, and he also celebrated the birthdays of each doll like a real-life living human. He apparently had no sexual attraction to the girls, just felt sorry for them and wanted them to be happy, as he reckons the girls were calling to him to save them. He said he loved them like daughters, a daughter that he wished he had. He would talk and sing to them every day, and ones that he grew to dislike would be moved to the garage. He told authorities he dug them up because he was lonely, and the adoption agency wouldn't let him adopt because he didn't make enough money. Well, that was a blessing in disguise. He thought he could bring them back to life one day with science and or black magic. Believe it or not, Moskvin's parents apparently had no idea that his quote-unquote dolls were real girls, despite visiting him and also sharing the space at one time. I'm sorry, but I reckon the smell would knock you out when you walked into that apartment, you know, just going off of how many that he had. Come on, you would have had to have known. As far as I'm concerned, that's just turning a blind eye and not accepting that your son is a sick weirdo. Footprints in the cemeteries also matched Moskvin's shoes, so I think it was pretty obvious who done it. And as far as I'm concerned, if they needed that piece of evidence after they found the dolls in his apartment, then something's a little wrong. Moskvin was charged with desecration of graves, and the media named him the Lord of the Mummies. His neighbours were shocked because they said he was a quiet and nice person, even though a rancid smell came out of his apartment when he opened the door. Hell. And they just pinned it to something rotting in the basement. Are you serious? When it's only coming from one apartment? Okay. In court, Moskvin admitted to 44 counts of abusing graves and dead bodies, but told the parents of the deceased girls that they had abandoned them, so he got them, brought them home, and warmed them up. Now, this doll corpse was the most disturbing in his collection. The body of this little girl is just awful and was 10-year-old Olga Shadimova, who was a murder victim. Moskvin went under psychiatric assessment, was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and was admitted to a psychiatric ward where he was deemed not fit for court, as he told authorities not to bury the girls too deep, as he will reclaim them once he is out. Parents of the dead children have pleaded to keep him behind bars for the rest of his life because he is at high risk of offending again, but with recent assessment and now 56 years old, he is labelled as incapacitated, which means that he needs care, or he needs constant care from either friends or family, which is apparently quite okay, and he doesn't need to be locked up anymore. Well, that don't make sense as far as I'm concerned. He apparently has a girlfriend and wants to marry her and be a foreign language tutor, but his release is uncertain, and he refuses to apologise to the parents of the victims, saying that the parents have no rights over the girls now. Wow. So, in my opinion, this is just absolutely sick. And he had no right whatsoever, even though he thought in his head that he had rights over these dead children. What was he thinking? Like how was he not being haunted? Like, was he getting haunted, or was he that batshit crazy that he was getting haunted by these children, and he was just, going along with it, and he was talking to them. Maybe that's why he was talking to them. I don't know, like, that's pretty plausible, but hey, let me know your thoughts on this case. I would love to hear your comments on this below, because this is crazy. Like, I don't know how anyone could do this and then live with the smell and then go to bed at night and sleep properly. Like, oh, you have to be a crazy person. But anyway, now the illustration that I decided to do for this video today was completely, I had to do some sort of like modified scene from this case. Like, I did this very small room with this bench that goes right around the back of it, and there's like this window at the back, and it's obviously nighttime, and this creature has got some of his dolls there, some of these human or like, you know, weird creatures or whatever you want to call them. They're lined up. They're the first one on the left has got no arms and no feet. Obviously he's doing something to them to put them back on eventually, but this thing has slits in the front. There's some rags, like it kind of looks a little bit like guts, but it has some bloody rags sort of coming out. The next one's got another hole in the chest and is quite decomposed. Like, all these have decomposed. Then you've got a smaller, younger child at the back there with one arm missing, has some sort of like autopsy slits down it. This one's a little bit more fresher, hence the reason why it's not green, like it's not deteriorating like the others. Now he's holding one in his hand, inspecting it to see what he's going to do with this one. And then you've got one at the back there that he has dressed. He has paper mache'd up. It's very similar to the disturbing case, the most disturbing murder victim that this guy had. And then there's another one, the last one on the right, which is really decomposed, and it's basically mummified, and it's just sitting there propped up, and he's, you know, just sitting there waiting for this thing to do something with, so he can, you know, prop them up around his house. So yeah, I had to do something very, very, very on point with this one, like very identical to what was going on, you know, right up my alley. And the ideas that I had was, this is the first thing that popped into my head when I thought of what I was going to draw for this video today. So yeah, I did a border around it. There is some quick peel porn at the end for those people who like to watch the tapes being peeled off, although the tape did rip a lot of the paper, which is shit. I've never had too much dramas with that tape doing that, but it might be just this paper, but I don't know. But anyway, that is it from me. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Dislike it, I couldn't care less. It all goes towards the algorithm to push me up for other people to find me. So, you know, if you dislike my video and still watch it, good on you. You're contributing, and I thank you as well. So yeah, I'm out of here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.